So this is new. I'm actually seeing myself on the screen 3 different times. But that's also telling me that it's working. So I am Tony Rosati. Whoops. How do I stop that? Maybe I don't even need to watch it. Stop that. You're not that far behind. Are you hearing me? Am I hearing you? Working. Okay. Uh, I wanted to keep that open just in case anyone does come around. I need to know what that looks like too. So welcome to a special live version of Confessions from the Messy Middle. I'm Tony Rosati. I am an IFS practitioner. Um, I am a late diagnosed ADHD, autistic, queer, female-born woman. Um, and recently decided that I pretty much only want to have neurodiverse people in my life. And the reason for that is been interviewing all of these potential podcast guests, and it's like an incredible connection can immediately be made. Um, there's energy and excitement. There's this match that I have with neurodiverse people that just isn't there, it seems, with neurotypical people. Um, just with the podcast, I'll give you an example. Um, literally the day before, just had this incredibly exciting, like, we just met and we were talking about shame and how it basically lived in his life and how he experienced it. And just sharing stories and yeah, really, really connecting to a neurotypical person who, in comparison, felt really reserved. My neurodiverse brain sort of has to recalibrate that it wasn't just a performance or like behaving and following the rules or um, being what one of my favorite author calls, all you neurotypical people are about to really fucking hate this right now. But being what one of my favorite author calls um, Florence King, Confessions of a Failed Southern Lady, hence favorite author. I named the podcast after her. In this book, which is mostly autobiographical, um, she talks about feeling different. She's already passed, and she has no idea if she actually is neurodiverse, right? That doesn't come up. But she calls herself a misanthrope. And what she calls normal people, she uses the word Malkin, Malkin. Um, I'm not sure exactly where she got this because real definition is not exactly the same as she was using it, but to her, the word Malkin was people that lived in polite society, strived there, wanted to be that sort of normal, following the rules, like social rules, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be like strict rules, be on time of every organization they were in. But there was just the air and the characters of man, I'll have to come up with the right words because I didn't expect to talk about this right now. Uh what would her Malkins be like? Shit. Because they weren't necessarily average, right? Like one of them, her cousin, was absolutely nuts. Uh uh very vocal and flighty and um needing attention. But that was just that particular character. It wasn't everybody. Um yeah, I mean, I guess it fits in for me with the people that got the rule book as they grew up or as they were raised, born, I don't know, and had no desire to sort of raise the veil on that. So that's what a Malkin was. Um, and I've read this multiple times, and I didn't feel like a misanthrope per se, but I really identify with so many uh, things that she was experiencing. Like wanting to find out some details that gonna need to know about something, uh, but you're not really supposed to ask or um, talk about that sort of thing. Uh, an easy example would be growing up, maybe a girl wants to ask about her period. And hey, maybe this is a generational thing. Um, but you're not really supposed to ask about that. You're not really supposed to talk about the technical things about sex. You just go figure it out on your own. Um, I've felt like workplace behavior was like that for me. Um, go figure it out on your own, right? Like mom was not the one to be mentoring on that. Any other close family members, aunt, uncle, cousins, holy moly, were they not the ones um, to model after. And yeah, I was encouraged. Go, you can do it. I have no idea how. Go figure it out. That's pretty much how I was raised. Um, I can't believe I'm live. This is so weird. Uh, I've been I've been on a microphone in front of hundreds of people, and sometimes it's scripted, sort of, sometimes it wasn't. So I was the MC for Analyze Boulder. I loved making jokes. I loved interacting with the audience. Yes, it was scary, but there is something about going live that is just different. Um, must be reading the room or something. Well, since we know this is working, maybe I just keep talking about why I want neurodiverse people in my life. Uh, I can't even mask anymore. I I've tried really hard throughout my entire life to be authentic, which usually meant that I was following uh polite society rules that said be bold, be honest. Um And I must not have interpreted those things, for example, the way that neurotypical people expected. It's almost like I wasn't the audience, right? Like, Be Bold is almost for an audience of how do I exactly explain it? So many people have a hard time speaking up. They have been shut up their entire life. And so being that vocal, to be honest, to um, really be bold and express more of themselves, I think is much harder for them than it was for me, for multiple reasons. And it's not just neurodiversity. Um, my mom didn't like that she was a super quiet, passive person. And so she really encouraged me to speak out, speak back to her, right? So unique. Um, so I have a lot of practice, I guess, but it wasn't practice that prepared me for the real world, and certainly not the real world for normal neurotypical people. So yeah, so I've recently decided that I want neurodiverse people in my life, and the world is way big enough that I can do that. Um, Most of my clients are neurodiverse at this point. Um, just about all of the podcast guests are neurodiverse, most of them late diagnosed or considering further diagnosis. And there's so much self-awareness. There's so much willingness, desire to share and collaborate. There's so much connection there versus this like polite society, neurotypical in between. Um, like I wonder if two neurodiverse people connect on like a whole different level than two really close neurotypical people. Ah, I I think I'm going to take a break and maybe collect myself and go back to what I originally wanted to talk about, which was a walkthrough of internal family systems and what's called these 6 Fs. As I've been a PA and taught various groups now, uh, there's a couple of questions or misunderstandings that can tend to come up. And I just thought I would talk about them because if you know IFS, you want to learn it deeply, and it's just the way it is. So welcome to the channel.